Okay, so today I wanted to talk about my experience yesterday with repinning power supply cables. I have bought a while back some cable mod cables for an EVGA power supply, one of the G1s, and cable mod cables are pretty expensive, so I didn't want to have to buy those again for my new power supply, which is a Seasonic, so I was going to swap the pins around, put them in these new connectors I bought to make them compatible with the Seasonic power supply, which is totally fine and possible, but I ran into some little issues that I wanted to go over with in case you guys run into the same kind of issue. So, first of all, this is a 24 pin connector for the motherboard. On the Seasonic, there's more than 24 pins. So what they do in their power supplies is actually they jumper wires on the power supply end to, for whatever reason, if you look at the diagram it would probably be more clear, but there's little issues like that where EVGA has 24 pins on theirs on the PSU end, and Seasonic I think had probably like 28 or something, so you have to actually jump wires between one pin to the next, which is what I did here. I actually cut off some of these off of a cable and took this pin out and made those my jumper for my cable mod cable on the PSU end, which isn't the prettiest thing to do. I soldered it on and it was kind of hard to get in, but it's a little trick you could probably do to get around that if you wanted to mod your cable. It works fine and it's hidden. You'll see like a little bit where the braiding goes back on the cable mod cable, but it's not visible. But this is in case you didn't know, getting back to my point, cables are different. So this is an EVGA cable here, and this is a Seasonic. Even though on this end it's the same, because this end is the standard on the motherboard, so obviously it has to fit, but on the other end it's different. I believe on this one they make it to where you can't shove one into the, yeah, like right here. On the EVGA this is square, and this isn't on the Seasonic, so they won't actually fit. But I believe on like the peripheral, or not peripheral, the for like SATA cables and stuff, you can actually shove the crap in there and it'll trip your power supply, which is where I first found out that the cables aren't completely standardized, which is something I'd expect out of a computer. Parts, everything's standardized, but it's not. So how do you use the tool to do this? These are the two you'll probably mainly use, and I didn't have to. I guess this is maybe for Molex or something, and you probably would like tweezers. So I'll go over real quick on how to actually extract the pin, because this took me a little bit to use. So you see one right here has two prongs. This one's a little bit bigger and it has one prong. Let's see if I can focus in a little bit. So you take your tool here, and what I tried to do for the longest time was try to make this actually go around both sides. Don't do that. It will actually make the freaking pin stick. Take one end on one side and make your second prong on your tool go through the middle of the connector and just shove it in. Okay, so you just decompressed one side of the pin, now you need to get the other side. It won't spring back, it'll actually stick, which is why you need your tweezer so you can bend it back after you get the pin out. Now take your tool, go on the other side of the pin, and press, and it'll release. This is where your other tool comes in. Try to hug the wall of the connector and push it out until you extract the pin. Now you'll see here, if I can focus this in, the wings on the pin is actually bent. So if you try to shove this in, it probably wouldn't catch. So you have to take something pointy, stick it in there, and bend it back just a little bit so it'll catch next time you try to use it. See, that one got a little messed up. So I can't see. I'm trying to let you guys see it. Yeah, it'll still work. You just have to bend it back. It might break, but it'll still catch. You get the idea. So that's getting the pins out real quick. Hug one side, bend it, go to the other side, bend it, and it'll just pull right out. Things you'll run into is that messing up. Not a big deal. Just bend it back. Even if it breaks, it'll still catch. Other things you'll deal with if you're trying to redo your sleeve cables, the sleeving is actually crimped under this on the cables. It doesn't hold that good, so when you're pulling on it, you might pull the sleeving off. So to fix that, get you a lighter and singe the ends of it so it doesn't keep fraying. Push it up there and bend these out, stick it under there and crimp it back on top of it, and it'll hold pretty good. And the connector will hide it. When you're trying to move your cables over, it's really good to buy these. These are like $30. I can link them. That way you're moving them one by one, don't lose track. But reusing the same connector is just probably going to be a total pain in the ass. You could, well actually you probably can't even use the same connector, because if you're going from the EVGA to Seasonic, like with the motherboard connector, it's split, so it won't do you any good to have one like this. And you definitely need a multimeter, unless you want to try to look up some freaking charts like that and learn all that. I didn't want to do that, so I just simply took my connector, stuck what pin I was on, like shoved a prong in here, and then like I'll give you like a quick rundown of how I was doing it. Take your multimeter, say, alright, where does this one go? So shove that in there, which this might be the one I cut off. Let's try the middle one, maybe it's in there. And just probe around. Alright, so that's that one. So now I know on my standardized end, that's this pin. So I'll take that one off, unplug it on my cable, get another connector, and plug it in. But you're referencing, obviously not this one, you'd reference like the Seasonic cable. So for example, pretend this is my cable mod cable. I would sit here, I want to know what Seasonic did with their cables. So shove my probe in, go around, so I know on this connector like this, on a Seasonic cable, this pin goes here. So then I take my cable, unplug the EVGA in, get another connector, and move it to the back right. And do that until you do the whole cable. And it should be a Seasonic cable, because you made them all match. Like, you don't get intimidated by it. It's a freaking piece of straight copper. If all the ends match, it should work. And I can tell you it did, because my stuff's running and it didn't pop nothing, so I know it works. So those are my little run-ins on how to kind of do it. It took me forever. The biggest holdback was when I figured out I had to do soldering. Be aware of that. It is definitely possible. I just found the sacrificial cable and cut off, like, I just would take the pin out like that, cut it, and I would solder one end to one connector and then plug this on my missing pin and make a jumper, and it's fine. When you solder it, you're going to run into issues with your custom sleeving where it's going to be too big to fit in the connector, and unfortunately you have to strip it down enough to where it's almost like the bare copper sticking out of the connector, and it'll be flush. I like, the good news is that this is all hidden. It's shoved underneath the power supply. You can't see it. My only concern would be something shorted out, so don't have so much sticking out to where it might touch bare metal on the case. Other than that, it works, but Lord, it was hard to do. And I don't know if you're going to have a nice soldering get-up like I do. But it works. I only had to do that to the motherboard cable and the graphics card cable. On the graphics card cable, on an EVGA, you have, can't see now because I extract the pins, but you have all the pins are used, and on the power supply end, they actually take one pin and double it up underneath one, so you have to take one pin out, solder them together, and then shove it in one connector. And that sucks. If you had the ability to do one of these right here and recrimp one of these, you could probably get around that and won't have to use solder. You could probably just strip all the wire and make a new connection, but I didn't have all that, so I soldered it. And that's a quick rundown of all the crap you can deal with. There's a lot of different guides on people trying to do tricks with this. Bend the freaking prongs, freaking use paper clips, use staples. I think just use the tool correctly. I don't even know if that's the correct way to use it, but that was way quicker because this is way too thick to try to shove on both ends of the connector at once. So that's how I did it, and it worked. That's my quick rundown on how to do this. Thanks for watching.